Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the Libra full moon and lunar eclipse taking place on, let me give you the correct chart. There we go. March 25th, 3 a.m., the day this has been recorded. Uh, If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, if not, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Okay, a couple of announcements before we dive in. We are at the peak of eclipse season, and we are now in the space where the eclipse energy is at its most potent. The opening for this energy was 90 days ago. It's going to wane over the next 90. Life changes ushered in by these eclipses can be experienced anytime over this period, not just this week or next. However, if you're looking for a peak eclipse reading, now is the time to book one. My calendar is available, but filling up quickly leading up to the major solar eclipse on April 8th. I would love to read for you if you're feeling prompted to get guidance at this time. Secondarily, the waitlist for Star Club is open. So if you missed the chance to join, you can get on the waitlist for this exclusive community where you get to learn, practice, and share astrology now. There are amazing people in the community posting charts, sharing feedback, asking and answering one another's astrological questions. I'm in there too, multiple times every week, sometimes multiple times each day to answer questions for stars clubbers. And so you get access to Star School 101, 201, and 301. You can learn twin flame astrology or North Node astrology once you join. Next Thursday, April 4th, I'll be live with the Star Clubbers to talk about the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction coming up on April 21st. They'll have exclusive access to the Q&A portion of that live. So if you know you like being able to chit chat, dialogue, and interact with me, you like having a community to geek out on major astrological events, now's the time to jump on the wait list for Star Club so you're first to know when enrollment opens again. And if you're new here, welcome. Really, really love that you joined us. I do something called the Lightworker Energy Update, published right alongside at the same time as this one. That one details the full meaning of the lunar eclipse and full moon and operates as a part one, providing a framework for why I'm interpreting what I see for divine counterparts the way I'm interpreting it. At the end of that one, I do something called First Look, where I'll give you an early heads up about the new moon solar eclipse coming up in 2 weeks and detail which signs will feel this full moon and eclipse in Libra the most. So definitely have a listen to that first and come on back and listen to this. All right. Let's take a look at this full moon in Libra. I'm going to map out some of the communications that it's receiving, this lunar eclipse. And then from there, I'm going to give you a quick recap, brief overview before diving into the divine counterpart conversations at this lunation. We've got moon opposite sun, which we always do. At full moons, we've got a trine to Pallas here, sextile to Pallas. We've got a conjunction to Makemake right there in Libra as well. We've got a trine to Pluto as well. And we have an opposition to Neptune. There's Neptune in the conversation. And we've got a square from Vesta. This full moon and lunar eclipse in Libra is closing out old habits and behaviors in connection that no longer serve us. It's also closing out relationships where we are being invited to be less than whole in order to maintain those connections. The key here is access to personal power, with Pluto aspecting this eclipse, as well as trading illusion and disillusionment with actual vision for a better future in love and collaborative partnerships. The key here is to acknowledge that we can only hold on to the hand of better if we're willing to let go of the hand of good enough. As eclipse energy is active in the 90 days leading up to an eclipse and potent, waning in potency, but still potent up to 90 days after an eclipse, there may have been or will be changes on the relationship and collaboration front that indicates either full ending or at least an ending of the current structure of a partnership as we know it and commit ourselves and our path to something new. For a fuller picture and more detailed interpretation, including the signs that will experience the scope of this eclipse most fully, as I mentioned, just have a listen to part one, the Lightworker Energy Update. Now let's have a look at what the divine counterparts are doing at this lunar update. The new moon, the full moon and this lunar eclipse in Libra officially close out the 2-year union window energies that I have been talking about with you guys since the end of 2021, the beginning of 2022. Can't believe it's been that long now. Union windows are periods of time when the two counterparts, I read Jupiter and Juno, husband and wife of the zodiac, they are in the same sign and they emit an energy of being pulled toward the connection for the year leading up to their exact conjunction and the year after. Okay, so I'll show you that now so you can see where we've been since we're at the very close of the thing. Let's go here. 123, 2023. There we go. All right. So as a quick recap, Jupiter and Juno met up here. Where's my annotation tool? Come back. There you are. Here's Jupiter, there's Juno, husband and wife at that 4th degree of Aries, husband and wife of Mount Olympus and the zodiac. They come together astrologically roughly every 6 to 8 years, average 7. The last time they were in a conversation called a conjunction in the sky was May 14th, 2015 at the 14th degree of Leo. And I'll just show you guys that. Display transits, new date, 5/14, 2014. And oops, that's not correct. 2015, let me edit that. Display transits, 5/14, 2015, 1 year later. There we go. And if you just go a little bit further into this particular day, they met up at the 14th degree of Leo. So there they were in 2015 at that 14th degree of Leo. The most recent time they will have come together would have been January 23rd of 2023. And there they are at that 4th degree of Aries. Ta-da! Now, I'm not a numerologist, and nor am I practiced at degree level astrology, as some of my astrological colleagues are. But I name those dates and those degrees as they may be of significance for those of you who do go really deep in that area. Okay. For this union window, it would have began on January 23rd of 2022, so 1 year prior to this date, and it closed on January 23rd of 2024, 1 year after that date. And we do have a small extension of this energy that went from February and March and is about to close out as we open up April. So I'm going to walk you through that and what that means in a minute. Generally speaking, my gift to you, since I don't do the degree thing and I don't do the numerology thing, my gift to you as you put these pieces together is to share these 3 things that's really important for you to understand. 1, the energetic influence of these connections does last 2 years, the full year prior and the full year after. So I mentioned that part. Two, they met in the sign of Aries, the first masculine sign of the zodiac. It governs the personal, the individual, ambition, passion, and drive, individuated forward motion, personal initiative and action, governs new beginnings. Exercising these qualities for us as individuals is how we access union until the next union window opens in 2027. Until then, the access point to union is the absolute definition of focus on yourself, as counterintuitive as that may seem. The more focus you put on you, your ambitions, your action steps, and drives, the more you program, calibrate, and reset the magnetics of your connection for coming together if you identify in some sort of separation. Even those in union are being asked to become wholer versions of themselves and pay attention to their unique and individual ambitions as a way to support the connection. And the third thing that is my gift to impart to you with this, and I've mentioned several times on this channel, during the period of this time, the pull of the connection will be very loud. So I want to make sure that I detail what that means. I've talked about this at different intervals on this channel, but I do know that there's a lot of new folks. I want to go ahead and map it out for you so that you know what we are talking about. Okay, so in any connection, where's my annotation tool? Okay, there's two lovely humans, each with their own little auric field. So that's person one. This is person two. They meet. They are very happy to see each other and to meet. Person one is coming with their auric field and their energy, everything from their childhood, everything they've learned about relationships, all of their programming about love. And person two is coming in with that same stuff as well. All of their experiences with their exes, all of their expectations, hopes, and dreams about love, and everything that they have had up until this point is hanging out in their energetic escrow. Now, what you have in between the two of them in this overlap, not just as they're in physical proximity, but just as they commingle spiritually, what you have in this energetic overlap is the energy of the connection. The connection exudes a specific type of pull or magnetism from person A toward the connection, from person B toward the connection itself during these union window periods of time. So it's not that this person is pulling on you, it's this joint stuff in between that's causing you to look deeper, look harder, look more thoroughly than you previously looked. Now, if we were to get deep into, well, what is that stuff in the connection and why do we get pulled toward the other person during these periods of time? We have these union windows. What's actually happening is you're getting pulled toward everything. These are little visual bricks here. If you don't mind my Picasso-ness, thank you for bearing with me. These are little visual bricks. These little bricks represent every single time, your ex didn't meet your needs, that issue with your mom where you didn't feel like you ever got loved the way you needed to. All of this stuff is hanging out between you and union, you and love. And so when we get these union windows, what happens is the connection says, hey, hey, come over here. Look at this. Why don't you remove this brick so you can have greater love in your life? Why don't you remove or deal with this thing? Release it so that you can have greater access to connection in your life. Hey, hey, remember this thing? How about you leave that in the past so that you can have greater experiences of union here on earth in this lifetime? So, all this stuff comes up for us to deal with during these union windows, and it's always there. But during these union windows, it gets particularly loud. And so that's what we are coming out of experiencing over this last 2 years. And this little bit of extension into the new year 2024, we've got this little bit of extension that's inviting us to look even more deeply at this stuff. Okay. This significant energy, let's go back to now astrologically. Oops, I don't need to do that. I can just do this. Okay, there we go. This significant energy, where we have, so Jupiter and Juno started off both in the sign of Aries. That energy was potent until January of 2024. The counterparts have moved and shifted since then. We've got now they're not in the same exact sign, but they are in the same exact element. She's in Earth, he's in Earth, he's in Taurus, she's in Virgo. Both of them are Earth signs. Them being in the same element, similar to them being in the exact same sign, causes unobstructed flow of energy between them, meaning there's this pull toward all of that stuff that needs to get dealt with to remove personal blocks to union. So even though the union window closed on January 23rd of this year, that energy extended with the second most powerful unobstructed flow of energy between counterparts. That's them being in the same element as you see here. Okay. And that's an earth energy that they're in, both of them earth signs at similar enough degrees. Now they remain at similar enough, that's the key, degrees through about April 4th when they widen the degrees they're at far enough to be less connected, more obstructed. They remain, both of them, in earth elements through May 25th when the energy I read as divine masculine enters the sign of Gemini. Okay. So, this little extension of the union window energies through the end of March, this really just a few days away. We've got 4 days in April. So, we've got like 10 days of this union window energy closing out. These connections, this extension of union window energy for our connections through the end of this month, beginning of next, heightens the internal experience of the following. It's a push, it's a pull, it's a poke, it's a prod to make the connection manifest in the third dimension, since both counterparts are in third dimensional signs. And number two, it is a push, a poke, a prod, a pull that whatever needs to happen in our lives for these connections to be made manifest in the third dimension happens. So, over the course of the last 120 days, because they were both in the earth signs over this period, even into the tail end of last year, we would have seen some form of movement that facilitates these connections' expression in the world of form. And if our lives are in any way not set up for these connections to be expressed in the world of form, things like you got financial debt or money issues that would make you a financial liability to a counterpart given the legality in your country around marriage, or maybe you got some body image and health issues that could sabotage the connection's viability. because we haven't dealt with our own personal viability, vitality, and well being. Or you got ties or arrangements emotionally, sexually, financially, housing wise, to exes or current partners. In other words, if your third dimensional body and resources, Juno's in the sun, one of the signs that deal with body, so too is Taurus or Jupiter here. Jupiter's in the sign specifically that deals with resources. If your third dimensional body and resources are committed in places and to people that your heart is not, meaning you're split living, you're living in duality, you're living in separation, you're living in not union, all of this would have shown itself as what we need to take action on in the 3D to resolve our own blocks to union energy with love itself. Okay. Because both counterparts are in a conversation with the same planetary energies and with one another. In addition to feeling drawn together, they are receiving the same activations and prompts, and this is the last time they will do so in a while. Now, at this time, that does include Juno and Jupiter both speaking to Pholus and Ceres. Here, Ceres closes out cycles. Pholus is all about that toxicity. If you want a deep dive on that, check out the full moon in Virgo. I did a few lunations back. It's when that came into form and really kind of called us all out on where we are holding on to toxic structures in our life and need to let them go. We've got Venus, Saturn, and Nessus in configuration here in the sign of Pisces, committing to wholeness and connection, obsessively so. We've also got Juno exclusively receiving activation from Pallas. That Jupiter is not receiving, and this is challenging her to restructure the way she protects herself and exposing her to the finer details about truth in the connection. Some of you are really getting called out on the fact that you've been protecting yourself from connection instead of actually being vulnerable in connection. It's also opening up some clarity about the role of faith and service and elevating the connection to the next level. Jupiter is receiving exclusive activation at this time. Let me find a different color. I'm really trying to get y'all colors that you can see. Um, Jupiter is exclusive receiving activation from Cheroklo here. There we go. Supporting him to step into faith in himself after releasing toxic attachments and ultimately rewarding action taken in this direction with blessing and a replacement of something much better than what was released. The eclipse is the last, this lunar eclipse, it is the last and it is the final push that the stars are giving us to clean up our third dimensional reality, to make space for us to have more union energy on both sides of the connection. After this, the counterparts will be more directly and personally guided, and the connection's pull will be less pulley if you're someone who is carrying the frequency of divine love. In both cases, because the counterparts met up in the sign of Aries as we opened the new 6 to 8 year cycle. I'll just show you that one more time. Yeah, come out of that. Here we go. And of course, we are going to reload that for you. So 1/23/2023 was the last time they met up. They won't meet up again until 2027. So here they are. Sorry, I think it's 2028. But the union window opens in 2027. Here, the two of them are at that fourth degree of Aries. Because they met up in the sign of Aries, our access point to union, the way we deepen the connection As absolutely counterintuitive as what I'm about to say sounds, it's by paying attention to Aries in our own chart, which is the sign of the self, our personal ambitions, our personal passions, our individual drives, and taking individuated action. No waiting, no collaborating. Now, the caveat here is for those of you who are already in some form of union, you're going to find that collaborating is pretty non negotiable because you're living together, you're in daily conversation. You got joint finances or kids or projects that require your joint life force to sustain. For you all, discussions about where you're called and guided, the promptings and nudges Spirit is giving you, and co creating joint vision for your next action steps, that's going to be necessary. Okay. You're going to need to tell, share, reveal the things that you're getting the nudges on in your spirit with your counterpart. Now, for everyone else who, you don't have daily contact, you're not actually co-creating. You don't share kids or home or resources in that way. For everyone else, it's the you show. And that's a good thing. The majority of my analytics show that the majority of my viewers identify as women. And in the wake of the Me Too movement in 2018, and we're still trying to create awareness and understanding among the male identifying contingent here on Earth about what abuse of power looks like and what it sounds like. That the majority of my contingent here is women, it's really just logical that to rebalance the scales after millennia of patriarchal structures, most of them still in place and some of them in life-threatening ways in the non-Western or non-developed world, and still in life-threatening ways here, right? For women and children, that those of you who are divine counterparts identifying as female are being invited into this unique opportunity to stand in Aries energy, which is so distinctly masculine, and demonstrate what initiative, action, ambition, and passion look like when it's not abusive, when it's not a manipulation, when it's pure. That this is where we have arrived at collectively in our humanity. I actually really think this is a good thing. I think this is going to benefit all of us. So, if you're hearing me and you're listening to this Libra full moon and lunar eclipse at the close of this 2-year union window and its extension, this is the message I want to leave with you. Come out of focus on the connection so much and place the same energy, attention, and investment in you. Your work in this way, focusing on you in this way, it is rewriting our collective stories about ambition, drive, taking action, and power. Your effort in your life is reprogramming the thinking about these constructs and behaviors for every generation alive that's witnessing your life. You're showing them a new picture for what these things can look like. You're stepping up is what's going to show an entire generation of younger people that power does not have to be abusive and power isn't a for men only thing. And this extraordinary contribution through the platform of your life, it's what has the opportunity to change the course of humanity. Many of you have dreams that you carried into this incarnation for nonprofits, businesses, political frameworks, social networks, research studies, scripts for television, film, plays, books, investment opportunities, financial instruments, healthcare advances, ways to use AI and technology, and more that are not in you by accident. They are there by grand divine design because we need those to come into manifestation on earth now more than ever. And so that we don't just repeat the last 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 years of patriarchal rule, it has to come through someone who identifies as female. And this goes, I want to really bridge this here for those of you who are like, well, I don't identify as female. What about me? This goes for you too. Come on now. You know I'm talking to you. Anyone on my channel who identifies as male or non-binary, if you rock this hard with me that you're listening to all of this, something's different about you in the best of ways. You've already seen it in your friend circle. You've seen it in your families. You've seen it with your colleagues. You have been the one to call the best out of those around you. You inspire them to be more loving, more connected, more authentic and real than they're being invited to be in any other area of their life. You are showing them that having emotions isn't just girly stuff. You're the one giving them permission to experience life in technicolor, in vibrancy, in elation, in love, and in joy. Some of you are out here single dadding it. Some of you are in leadership in traditional corporations, slipping in these non-traditional frameworks, showing the others around you what it looks like to respect women's voice and women's leadership. Some of you are opening hearts and minds through that avenue. And still others of you are mission critically showing your family a new definition for what a man can look like and giving your nieces and your nephews and even parents invitations to release old paradigms and step into love through your light, your leadership, your realness. Some of you have taken on these so-called traditionally female roles, and you've stepped up and you've said, these aren't female roles, these are just work roles. It's just contributing to life roles. And you're redefining what it means to work in the world in ways that aren't female or male. You're breaking down those barriers, liberating hearts and minds. So, together, both divine masculine and divine feminine, regardless of your gender identity or assignment at birth, together in our own unique configurations of masculine and feminine energy, we are rewriting pathways and patterns for masculinity here on earth in this next time period, since Aries is the first masculine sign of the zodiac. Through honoring the ambition, the drive, that's Aries, placed within us, we are bringing more divine inspiration into humanity's understanding of what it means to be human, since the collective understanding has been created and maintained by a systematically male lens. We're breaking that down together, each in our own ways. And this is where we go from here as a divine counterpart collective until we get to the next union window energy. After we get to the close of this union window energy, I'm going to have some channeled messages for you as they've been piling up. My guidance was to hold those until the close of this window and allow you to experience this energy directly without any intermediation from me, interpreting it for you. Unless, of course, you hired me for a reading, but not for the collective. But my guidance was to really support you to listen to your own intuition as you interacted with this energy. And now that this union window is coming to a close, I can share the messages with the community in April. So thank you all so much for every like, every comment, every subscribe and share. It's always a privilege and an honor to do this work for you and with you at each lunation. If you feel like sharing something in the comments about what you're guided to do or what you're working on, it may just be the piece of inspiration that someone needs to pick up and get on with it in their lives, what they're guided to work on and do. I'll also say that this is going to be an evolving process for us collectively as we listen into our own intuition and guidance. It's going to be very unique to each person, their blueprint, and their chart. So if you've been having any trouble, really just making some distinctions for yourself, or you want some validation for your intuition and path, you can always book a reading with me if you're guided to do that. Like I said, my guidance was to make at the start of this union window, really make some space for people who are ready to do this union with self through the sign of Aries thing, since that's the access point to union with a counterpart over this next cycle that closes out in 2028. And until then, what we have going on, I mean, this is why I stepped out of doing twin flame readings. It was just, it wasn't going to serve you in your connection to keep looking at your counterparts chart and telling you more and more and more about them. In fact, it would set you back. And this is why I closed that out. But I've been getting more questions about that lately. So I wanted to make sure that I illuminated and highlighted that for those of you who are new to the conversation on my channel. You are new, welcome. I love having you here. Hopefully, you had a chance to listen to the Lightworker Energy Update. It will always serve as part one. The Divine Counterpart conversation is always a part two to that. So, again, thank you for all the likes, all the subscribes. I do see that you guys like take this content with you, like you message it to yourself or to friends or to family. Some of you show up in session and you're like, me and my friend, we listen to you every 2 weeks. Thank you guys for that. I had no idea that I was making that y'all were like so entrenched with me. And it's just an honor to be that entrenched with you as a significant part of your life. Thank you. All right. I'll see you at the solar eclipse. You guys take great care and bye for now.